Hey guys, Itaewon Sammy, Sri Lanka Sammy, coming to you from the cabana beachside. Yeah, I thought sorry about that, I thought I'd do another quick how to help you video from the cabana, just sitting here beachside. As most of you know, I have retired and I am taking a little staycation here from my family home at the GIMBLE Beach Camelot Beach Hotel, just enjoying a weekend here. Pretty good deal I got. Check out my other video that I'm going to post a little bit later about how much it cost me to do this. Anyway, today I'm going to talk about something that I saw online, and I just want to comment about this is your legal situation in Korea when it comes to criminal law. We talk a lot about labor law. A lot of people know about the labor law, responsibilities, taxes, pension, healthcare, etc. But what about criminal law? What happens? Well, criminal law in Korea is a little bit different than anywhere else. Now, I personally have never had to deal with it, but I have seen a lot of stories and I've researched it. So here is what your responsibilities are. So number one, don't do it. Don't get into any criminal trouble because it is serious. Number one, your embassy will not help you. Your embassy is not here to protect you from your criminal activity. All right, that's not how it works. Embassies are here purely as representatives of the country to promote trade and visas. Okay, their role to support citizens is in consular affairs, which has a limit. They can advocate for you, but they rarely do because they don't want to piss off the local government. They provide passport services and some documentation, but otherwise they don't get involved in your criminal acts. They'll offer advice, but they won't do anything because it's not their jurisdiction. Okay, so don't get involved in anything criminal. Number two, the rule I've discovered when I first came to Korea is that if you are ever in an altercation with a Korean, run away. Run away. Don't get involved in a physical confrontation or even a verbal one with a Korean because you will be charged. There's crimes. If you stick a finger to a Korean, that is a criminal offense. You could technically be charged. There are cameras everywhere. Don't do it. Don't do it. Number three, when it comes to a criminal act, for example, theft, burglary, a non-assault one, something where it's a financial style crime, you will have to go in front of, well, in any kind of crime, you'll have to go in front of the prosecutor. So how the system works here is the police don't lay charges, the police investigate. And then they provide the details to the prosecutor, who then decides whether to file charges. So that's how it works. The police rarely jail someone. Rarely. Okay, in the initial steps, they will charge you and then release you. Immediately there will be a immigration block, so you can't leave the country. You don't have to give up your passport. They just put a, computer block. Can't leave the country. Then what happens is you are called in front of the detectives to answer their questions. Unlike North America, you do have a right to remain silent, but in this country, if you do, it's deemed that you're guilty. You should, you shouldn't not answer their questions. You should answer their questions truthfully. In the interim, get a lawyer. Don't go in without a lawyer, especially in a criminal case. The best course of action is admit. Be remorseful and admit from the very beginning. I'm so sorry. I was drunk, I was stupid, I was upset, I was angry, I made a huge mistake, and I feel shame and embarrassment and dishonor. I will do whatever I can to make this right. Just please give me another chance. And you beg forgiveness of the victim. And hopefully they will not wish to press charges, at which point the police let the case go. Now, how does that happen? Well, two ways. One way is that you beg the person to forgive you. The second way is you pay what's called blood money. So you will offer them money to drop the charges. And whatever they say, you have to do, and you have to make a personal agreement with them. It's not a criminal agreement, it's a civil agreement to withdraw the charges. I one time was pushed at the club, and I hit the back of my head and I had a bruise. The guy went on to punch one of my bartenders, and the police came and they charged him. My bartender said, you should file as well. I did. I ended up getting $1,000,000, $1,000, about 6 weeks later to drop the charges. So the bartender got about 2 or 3 million, about 2 or 3,000. So yeah, that makes the case go away. Now, what happens is the police will ask you questions, you answer. You are entitled to a translator, but again, I would have a lawyer. Don't delay going, because it just makes you look guilty. Then the prosecutor receives the case and then decides whether or not to file charges. Sorry, my legs are full of sand here. And then you would go in front of a judge, and again, you beg forgiveness, show remorse. If the victim has denied blood money, or if it is a drunk driving or something like that. Usually in those cases, you will be convicted if there's evidence, and you'll have to pay a fine. Now, what does that mean for your visa? That is always up to immigration. You can get letters of recommendation from the prosecutor, from your Korean friends, from anyone with status in Korea to help you when you go to immigration to file for your renewal, or if they call you to immigration because you've now committed a crime, there are grounds for deportation. You have to prove that it was an isolated incident and that you would never do it again. See, the reason immigration exists is to prevent damage to Korean society. So you need to prove that you are not going to damage Korean society financially, economically, socially. That's very important to understand, okay? So, what happens if you are in a serious crime? Assault, sexual assault, murder, manslaughter, that kind of thing. Well, you are basically done. You're done. If you did do it, there's no leeway. You are in a lot of trouble, and this is where you need a really good lawyer, a lot of money, and a lot of time to try to get this resolved. Number one, you are going to probably spend time in jail. You're going to pay a fine, and then you will be deported afterwards. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Now comes the advice time, is to, one small decision can screw up your life. Don't drink and drive. Don't get into a fight. Don't. Be extra careful when in Korea, because as a visa holder, your rights are really limited because of language and because of perception. So you need to take double care. I mean, you have rights, you have protections under the law, but it's not the same as North America. Don't kid yourself about that. I saw online, and I couldn't believe that this person did this. It's just, they were walking and they said that some old Korean man walked past them and slapped one of their friends in the back of the head. They were like, okay, whatever, and they walked away. A few minutes later, they decided to chase the guy down and confront him. Blah, 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 this and that. The guy slapped the Korean guy across the face. In his words, not very hard. Here's where it comes, like, you can't justify that, okay? Even though he started it, Korean law looks at it differently. The event that initiated this was over. You had separated and the event ended. Okay? That's Korean law, the way it looks at it. You are now the victim. You can go report it to police and you are the victim. But you decided to initiate a second incident. This has nothing to do with the first one in the eyes of the law. Logically, absolutely it does. But in the eyes of the law, you initiated a second incident by chasing the man down and putting your hands on him, which is illegal. Now you are the criminal and he is the victim. Okay? So think before you act. And if you have to stop and think about it, don't do it. It's just that simple. I mean, 13 years in Korea and I have never been involved in any situation, ever. Why? And I worked in the club, so I'm surrounded by potential conflicts, right? Because I keep aware. I don't get involved with people who are idiots, because that's what it comes down to, is you see those people out there who are just itching to cause problems. The number one thing when I confront someone who's causing an issue, I say, he says, what are you going to do, call the police? I go, no, I'm not going to call the police. I'm going to call immigration. Because they have your photograph and they have your fingerprint. And see that camera right there? That's taking your picture. So I'm going to call immigration, I'm going to submit the photograph, and they're going to go through it, because there's only, a few 100,000 foreigners? And I can break it down, white male, American, and they'll just look up your picture and I'll have you deported. I'm not calling the cops. Why? Cops aren't going to do anything. Immigration will. So, there's the issue. All of the foreigners in Korea are tied to their visa. So you don't want to do anything that will cause you to be deported. So please think before you act and do anything. I saw another story where someone stole like 20,000 won worth of hair clips because they were distraught or stressed or something like that or whatever. But they had to go to the police, just take care of yourself. Don't do something could even potentially lead you into something illegal. All right? Just don't. Anyway, I hope everyone stays safe, stays happy, stays healthy. Thank you for watching, liking, sharing, and commenting. I do appreciate it all. Everyone, Itaewon Sammy, Sri Lanka Sammy, I'm out.